Om Namo Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Reading from the Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 8, verse number 44. Sadyo nasta smritir gopi,
Sadyo nasta smritir gopi,
Saropyarohan atmajam,
Saropyarohan atmajam,
Pravrita sneha kalila,
Pravrita sneha kalila,
Hridaya siddhyata pura,
Hridaya siddhyata pura.
Sadyo nasta smritir gopi,
Sadyo nasta smritir gopi,
Saropyaroham atmajam,
Saropyaroham atmajam,
Vridha sneha kalila,
Pravrita sneha kalila,
Hridaya siddhyata pura,
Hridaya siddhyata pura.
Sadyo nasta smritir gopi,
Sadyo nasta smritir gopi,
Saropyarohan atmajam,
Saropyaroham atmajam,
Vridha sneha kalila,
Pravrita sneha kalila,
Hridaya siddhyata pura,
Hridaya siddhyata pura.
Sadyo nashta smritir gopi,
Sadyo nasta smritir gopi,
Saropyaroham atmajam,
Saropyaroham atmajam,
Pravita sneha kalila,
Pravrita sneha kalila,
Hridaya siddhyata pura.
Hridaya siddhyata pura.
Sadyo nasta smritir gopi,
Sadyo nasta smritir gopi,
Saropyaroham atmajam,
Saropyaroham atmajam,
Pravrita sneha kalila,
Pravrita sneha kalila,
Hridaya siddhyata pura.
Hridaya siddhyata pura.
Sadyo nasta smritir gopi,
Sadyo nasta smritir gopi,
Saropyaroham atmajam,
Saropyaroham atmajam,
Pravrita sneha kalila,
Pravrita sneha kalila,
Hridaya siddhyata pura,
Hridaya siddhyata pura.
Sadyo nasta smritir gopi,
Sadyo nasta smritir gopi,
Saropyaroham atmajam,
Saropyaroham atmajam,
Pravrita sneha kalila,
Pravrita sneha kalila,
Hridaya siddhyata pura.
Hridaya siddhyata pura.
Any ladies?
Sadyo nasta smritir gopi, Saropyaroham atmajam, Pravrita sneha kalila, Hridaya siddhyata pura.
Sadhya.
Sadhya.
After all these
After all these
philosophical speculations,
philosophical speculations,
Mother Yashoda
Mother Yashoda
fully surrendered
fully surrendered
to the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
to the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Nashna Smriti,
Nasta smriti,
having gotten rid of the memory
having gotten rid of the memory
of seeing the universal form
of seeing the universal form
within Krishna's mouth.
within Krishna's mouth.
Gopi,
Gopi,
Mother Yashoda,
Mother Yashoda,
Sa,
Sa,
She,
She,
Aropya,
Aropya,
seating,
Sitting,
Aroham,
Aroham,
on the lap,
on the left,
Atmajam,
Atmajam,
her son,
the son,
Pravritha,
Pravrita,
increase,
increase,
Sneha,
Sneha,
by affection,
by affection,
Kalila,
Kalila,
affected,
affected,
Hridaya,
Hridaya,
core of her heart,
the core of heart,
Asit,
Asit,
became situated,
became situated,
Yatha Pura,
Yatha Pura,
as she was formerly.
as she was born.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada's Bhaktivedanta Purports ki.
Jai.
Immediately forgetting Yogamaya's illusion that Krishna had shown the universal form within his mouth, Mother Yashoda took her son onto her lap as before, feeling increased affection in her heart for her transcendental child. Purport. Mother Yashoda regarded the vision of the universal form within Krishna's mouth as an arrangement of Yogamaya, like a dream. As one forgets everything after a dream, Mother Yashoda immediately forgot the entire incident. As her natural feeling of affection increased, she decided to herself, now let this incident be forgotten. I do not mind. Here is my son. Let me kiss him. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Militam Yana Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Madhavishram Stavitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swavadantikam Vanchakalpa Taduryascha Kivasinda Vyevacha Ritanam Bhavinebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Immediately forgetting Yogamaya's illusion that Krishna had shown the universal form within his mouth, Mother Yashoda took her son on her lap as before, feeling increased affection in her heart for her transcendental child. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Seeking permission from those who are much greater than I in all possible ways, particularly Janananda Maharaj, to speak on the Srimad Bhagavatam, considering myself most fallen and unqualified. But because I was asked to do so as a service, I know what to do. I have to come out of my comfort zone, as I'm told. So there's 2 points that came out to me immediately after reading the verse and the purport. One point was the principle of Yogamaya, and the other was the principle of dreams. Possibly because I gave a talk recently on dreams at Studio 108, so it's still fresh in my mind. So that came to mind. But it's also important because Yogamaya and dream-like states, it's interesting overlap there, so that can also be discussed. So Yogamaya, yes, so Mother Yashoda undoubtedly was under the influence of Yogamaya. For us, a lot of the time we are under the influence of Mahamaya and not Yogamaya. We would like to be under the influence of Yogamaya. We have to be under the influence of something. We can't be free from any influence at all, because that's our eternal constitutional position, to be controlled. Srila Prabhupada writes in the Bhagavad Gita that anyone who thinks themselves independent is mad, is crazy, is insane, because we can never be independent. Though we do have free will, but that free will is limited, basically limited to our desire. Do we desire Krishna, Krishna's lotus feet, or do we desire something selfish for my false identity? I've identified myself with this body for countless lifetimes. Now my desires are channeled towards enjoying this material world rather than enjoying the nectar of Krishna's lotus feet. So, being stuck in that position, the Tatashta Shakti, the marginal potency, has always the ability to go between these two worlds. So we're all either covered by Yogamaya potency or Mahamaya potency, as the beach is sometimes covered by the ocean and sometimes not. So Yogamaya in this particular situation works very beautifully in helping Mother Yashoda forget who Krishna is. Of course, she never forgets who Krishna is. She can never forget Krishna even for a single moment, and she knows who Krishna is much better than we do. But at the same time, she forgets who Krishna is. So this seeming contradiction can be reconciled when one understands, oh, you have a flower petal stuck to the center of your forehead.
I'll leave it there.
Okay. Can be reconciled when we understand the relationship between tattva and rasa. So Mother Yashoda, according to the pastime of the Srimad Bhagavatam in this section, when she sees the universal form in the mouth of her son, she's bewildered and starts to think, well, maybe my son is God. And she starts to think in this philosophical way, according to Tattva, he's the supreme person, all the universes are being controlled by his inward and outward going breaths. He's entered all the universes as Gagashai Vishnu, and she goes into this whole explanation, understanding who Krishna is according to Tattva. So that's a problem with regards to relationship. So this idea that love is blind, we have this idea in this material world that love is blind, but it's actually originating from the spiritual world, that there's a benefit for love being blind. In this world, there's a great disadvantage when love is blind, and there are many, many problems that come out of that. But in the spiritual world, love being blind is greatly advantageous to the devotee. That the only way we can really love Krishna freely, with a free heart, according to our natural constitutional rasa, that can only be achieved when we forget who Krishna is according to Tattva. And the two do contradict each other. As you know, if all of you have had some relationship with the opposite gender, you will know that there are always disagreements, because one is talking about the practical reality and one is talking about the feeling, how you feel at that moment, and relating that feeling to all the other times in the past where you felt the same. And so those two don't make any sense. They don't work out, because one is talking about a practical mechanical experience, which is really boring, right? Really boring and cold like a stone. And the other one is talking about the feelings, the relationship, which is the only thing that really matters, and these other things are secondary. But the two they go against each other, because the emotions, as we know, don't always run parallel to what's actually happening mechanically. So similarly, in the spiritual world, where Mother Yashoda is with Krishna, understanding for that glimpse of a moment of Krishna's true supremacy, she starts to realize who he really is, according to Tattva, then that starts to reduce the emotional exchange. That is reduced, and that's not what Vrindavan's all about. Vrindavan has nothing to do with Tattva at all. It's completely awe and reverence. All this Aishwarya Bhav isn't interesting. We're just interested in the emotion, the loving exchange between Krishna and his devotees. He wants them to forget who he is, because it gets in the way of the exchange of rasa. It's an impediment. So therefore, it's in the interest not only of Krishna, but in the interest of the devotees, that Yogamaya comes forth and does her magic and enables the devotees to completely forget, and also for Krishna to forget who he is. Although he can never forget anything, because he's all-knowing at all times. But he can, because he's God, and he works outside of the time and space rules that we understand, he can simultaneously forget and not forget. But Mother Yashoda completely forgets who he is. And in that way is able to just consider Krishna as her son. And nothing more. Because if my son is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and I know that fully, then my affection, my motherly affection to this child will be stunted, will be impeded. And that's a problem. This can be understood. The example that Srila Prabhupada gives in the material world is that situation where the Prime Minister was late for the meeting, and somebody goes to find him, the door's locked, so he looks through the keyhole, and the son of the Prime Minister is riding on the back and beating the Prime Minister like an ass. And this is the Prime Minister. When he walks into his office, everybody's, oh, Mr. Prime Minister, you are so great, you are so powerful, you are the master of all the energies of the state, just through the empowerment that you give to your ministers. They go out and do your works on your behalf, so you personally don't have to get involved in all the nitty-gritty of the state. And in this way, you are connected personally, but also indirectly through energies. So you can think of the Prime Minister like this, and people worship the leader in order to get benefits. So therefore, when a person who is in that mood of Aishwarya Bhava towards Mr. Prime Minister and sees something like that, it can be quite a shock. One devotee told me, who was working as a barrister, interacting with the head barrister, sometimes the conversation would become very informal, and that would be a shock to the student barristers because they've never seen the head barrister behave in such a way. It can be quite a shock. So similarly, for those in the world from the Vaikuntha worlds who are worshipping according to Vaidhi, sadhana bhakti, although their mood perhaps is one of spontaneity, but they're doing it according to the rules and regulations of Vaidhi because that's what they prefer, it can be quite shocking to hear about the pastimes in Vrindavan. It can be quite a shock. But this is the function of Yogamaya. So that's how Yogamaya works, and Mahamaya works in a completely different way. Mahamaya works in a way whereby we become covered by Yogamaya, and instead of it helping us develop affection for Krishna, it helps us reduce our affection for Krishna and develop affection for the mundane things of this temporary world. So they work because they are the same potency. There's one Swarup Shakti, and Maya Devi is one personality, though she has different faces. But she can work as Yogamaya in helping the devotees, stimulating their affection for Krishna by helping them forget who Krishna is, whereas Mahamaya helps us forget who Krishna is, but in such a way that it reduces our affection for Krishna and helps us develop affection for mundane things of this world. So therefore, Maya works in that way. We have this verse in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, verse 25, which refers to this point where Krishna explains that I never manifest to the foolish and unintelligent. For them I am covered by my internal potency, and therefore they do not know that I am unborn and infallible. Because as we know, as Prabhupada has explained to us, that when Sri Krishna was present on earth, he wasn't visible. I mean, he was visible as that they could see Krishna, but they couldn't see him for who he was. The demons, I am talking about. The demons couldn't see him. So Shishupal, Adantavakra, Shalva, they could see Krishna, but they couldn't understand who he was. They just thought he was just some great personality who they were envious of and thought they could kill. Jarasandha, all the demons, Kamsa, they didn't know who Krishna was because the Mahamaya potency had covered them. And so instead of developing affection for Krishna, they developed love and affection for the temporary manifestations of this fleeting existence in this realm, material world. Whereas the devotees of Krishna, like Bhishma Dev, the Pandavas, they could see very clearly who Krishna was. Because for them, Maya was acting in a different way to help them develop affection for Krishna. And in that way, sometimes Arjuna would forget who Krishna was according to Tattva. He would lay on the same bed with him, play jokes on him, have joking exchanges with him. And in this way, Arjuna says in the Bhagavad Gita, when he sees the universal form and remembers, oh, Krishna, you are this great person, please forgive me for all my offenses, I've called you loose names and so forth. So we can understand that Yogamaya had been acting upon Arjuna. And to accelerate and intensify his emotional exchange with the Lord, he'd forgotten that he was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he was just his friend, his best friend, and later on his chariot driver. So Yogamaya works like that. So in the purport here, Srila Prabhupada explains that Mother Yashoda, due to the effect of Yogamaya, then discarded her previous realizations as if it were just a dream. So dreaming is something that many people are interested in. At Studio 108, where we do our outreach preaching, a lot of people come who are interested in lucid dreaming, for example, and dreamlike states, sometimes drug-induced dreamlike states, in order to experience different worlds. Isn't it interesting when you have a very vivid dream? It really is a different world. You can be a different person with a different life. And the life in your dream has no parallels at all to this life. Of course, sometimes the dream will have very good parallels to the dream of this world, because Srila Prabhupada explains that this world is also like a dream. Morpheus from the Matrix told us that. The only difference between this world and the dream world is that we wake up from that dream, and this life seems to be a continuous experience. Therefore, we take this as the reality, and that is the dream. There are many other things you could say about dreams which prove that dreams are not true also, in the sense that if you give charity to a person in your dream, then did you actually give anything? Your account balance hasn't gone down in this world. There are different ways you can test whether the dream was true or not. Anyhow, lucid dreaming and different types of dreams are a source of study for psychologists. Why are people so interested in dreams? Different cultures around the world have also considered dreaming as an important way to accumulate information, sometimes thinking of predictions for the future, sometimes helping us understand the past, sometimes also helping us to practice situations which may help us in the present. Perhaps things that we're afraid of will come up in our dreams, and so we can go through those situations in our dreams. Others, of course, consider dreams as completely irrelevant. It's just a pointless regurgitation of memories, information you've accumulated during the day, and it's just being processed by your mind while you're asleep. Despite scientific inquiry, we still have no firm explanation for dreams. Scientists still don't know why we dream. There are many theories. Freud came up with theories about dreams also, and developed this conception of the subconscious mind, the unconscious mind, which is standard understanding these days. That, of course, I say these days, it was always a standard understanding before, you could say, the modern era, that we have an unconscious mind also, which is causing memories to come up. We have anartas, we have phobias, we have behavioral patterns that we constantly repeat, seemingly unconsciously, because it's just happening due to previous experiences, and certain stimuli cause it within us a reaction which we're not even conscious of doing, and that requires some training and correction to overcome these anartas, some purification, to overcome these doubts and fears which are holding us back from being the full package, the full potential of who we really are. So many people want to get into their lucid dream-like states because for them it's like a virtual reality experience. So virtual reality is actually a way of the scientists trying to give us that lucid dream experience, where in your dream, I don't know if any of you know about lucid dreams, the idea is you find a trick of allowing yourself to realize that this is a dream and you're in a dream right now, so enjoy the dream. Don't be just carried along in the dream like we normally are. So in a lucid dream, you wake up within the dream, realizing it's a dream, and then you can just play around with the dreamlike world and do anything you want. So people really get into that. Lucid dreaming is like a thing. Maybe some of you have done it, I don't know. I've only had some lucid dreams which were accidental. When you have flying dreams, you had those dreams when you can fly, they are the best dreams. But you realize it's a dream, and you just, when I wake up, you have to remember that you can fly. Don't forget this, that it's so easy to fly. You just have to think and you go anywhere you like. You're flying around outside your room, standing on the telephone cables, seeing over your town. Just remember you can do this. Don't forget, it's so easy to fly. And then you wake up and like, oh no, I can't fly. I can't fly. I'm stuck here in this body. I want to come out, but I can't. I'm stuck in here for now. So lucid dreams can give us these experiences. So the question is, it's written in the scriptures that this world, although we have our dream-like state in dream sleep, sometimes this waking state is also considered like a dream. Because in comparison to our spiritual awakening, this state of material experience is also like a dream. As in, it's not real, it's temporary. It has a beginning and an end, and there is another reality into which you can wake up. And that would be your waking state, your true waking state. It is said that Mahavishnu is in Yoga Nidra, right? This sleep yoga, Yoga Nidra. And that his dream is this existence. But because the Lord's dream is a real dream, whereas our dream isn't real. Does that make any sense? So when the Lord dreams, it's real. When we dream, it's not real. I mean, there's some semblance of reality, but the Lord's dream is actually real. So some philosophers will say that actually all of this is just the dream of Vishnu. He's in Yoga Nidra, and in his dreamlike state, when he's resting on the causal ocean, all the universes are being created and destroyed, and all the processes that are involved in those universes being activated and growing, and finally being absorbed back within him again. All this is going on automatically in this Yoga Nidra state. And it's very interesting. So in this verse of Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7 and verse 25.
What's the Sanskrit?
The Sanskrit is Naham prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samambritaha mudoyam napi jananti lokamamajamavyayam. I am never manifest to the foolish and unintelligent, for them I am covered by my internal potency, and therefore they do not know that I am unborn and infallible. So in this purport, which is a fantastic purport, it really is, Srila Prabhupada quotes that very famous shloka from the Sri Upanishad. Hiranmayana patrena, you know this one? Satyasya pihitam mukam tadvam bhushana pavrinu satyardamaya durishtaye, which is translated as, O my Lord, you are the maintainer of the entire universe, and devotional service to you is the highest religious principle. Therefore I pray to you, I pray that you will also maintain me. Your transcendental form is covered by the Yogamaya. The Brahma Jyoti is the covering of the internal potency. May you kindly remove this glowing effulgence that impedes my seeing your Satchit Ananda Vigraha, your eternal form of bliss and knowledge. So in this verse from the Sri Upanishad, the translation given equates Yogamaya and the effulgence of the Brahma Jyoti as the internal potency. That we cannot see the Lord due to the effulgence of his internal potency. So how can that be understood? Well, it is glaring. We know that the internal potency is glaring. We know that the Brahma Jyoti is considered by the Acharyas as the shining effulgence of Krishna's transcendental qualities. That the Brahman effulgence for the devotee is like hell because there's no interaction there, there's no rasa to be tasted. But still, for the aspiring transcendentalist, especially the impersonalist, the Brahma Jyoti is valuable because it helps us appreciate better Krishna's transcendental qualities, to separate substance from form, shadow from reality, because the forms that we are so much enamored by in this world are temporary and illusory, but the qualities that make up those forms are eternal. So for example, if you take Srila Prabhupada's beautiful Vyasa-san, beauty is something that is an eternal principle, as is strength, which are the qualities of this Vyasa-san. But the actual form itself has a beginning and has an end. Therefore, the impersonalist philosophers will spend all their day intellectually separating form from quality and try to just see the qualities of things, and in this way move around the world without any attachment to form. In this way become liberated without any devotion, of course, which for us is useless, but for them that's a very hard intellectual feat to perform. And therefore Srila Prabhupada explains that when they come to that platform of self-realization, of seeing Krishna's transcendental qualities but without any devotion, how long can you remain in that position? The tendency is then to need to taste rasa, because the soul needs relationship. It wants to taste rasa. So the rasa hasn't been tasted in the transcendental abode because I've got no love for Krishna, so I can't go to the spiritual world. Because yam yam bapi smaram bhavam chajityante kalevaram tam tam ivaiti kuntiya sarata bhava bhavitaha. Wherever, whatever I'm thinking of, my consciousness at the time of death, then that's where I will be attracted. So if I haven't got any attraction for Krishna's lotus feet, then how can I go to the spiritual world? I cannot. So therefore, I'm stuck there in that impersonal Brahman experience. So the tendency, then Prabhupada explains, is to only come back for material rasa, because at least it's something, some interaction, some loving exchanges there. So coming back to do some humanitarian activities. Prabhupada doesn't say that they actually geographically go to the Brahman effulgence. They may, but they are Brahman realized. But their consciousness comes back down to mundane consciousness due to affection for material rasa. There was another point I was going to bring out, but I can't remember it right now. So, just in summary, Mother Yashoda, who of course we know is an eternally liberated soul, temporarily became aware of Krishna's position according to Tattva. But because this was acting as an impediment to her natural flow of affection for her baby, Krishna, Yogamaya potency was activated to cover Yashoda Devi. So she forgot everything about Krishna's transcendental identity as the controller and the supreme enjoyer, and just thought of her again as her little son, little baby son. It must have been just a dream that I saw the universal form in his mouth. It was just a dream, and we shouldn't take dreams too seriously. And so from that dream analogy, I brought out the idea that we also shouldn't take this world, material world, too seriously, because it is also just a dream. It's a real dream because it's the dream of Mahavishnu, but it is still just a dream. It has a beginning and an end, and there's a waking state beyond this dream, which is the reality, which is eternal. And when one wakes up in that waking state, in his original Siddha Deha, in the spiritual world, that dream just seems so insignificant, and the amount of time contained with in that dream was so small in comparison to the eternal, unlimited experiences which are going on in Vrindavan, that one simply will dismiss it, that it was just a dream. Hare Krishna!
Hare Krishna! You just woke me up from my dream. I was in deep sleep there, and you just woke me up.
Samadhi. Yoga Nidra. You're in the internal cortex.
Just to read 10 Bhagavad Gita. Nothing happened at all. What now? I was so inspired. You woke me up in my sankirtan.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I should think so.
I apologize for that.
Can I go back to sleep again?
Anything you wish.
Some Bhagavatam sets in the dream as well.
Not yet. Well, that was next. You just woke me up. I was just about to tell the guy Bhagavatam set.
A full French Bhagavatam set.
Are there any questions or comments? Matteo?
Thank you, sir. This is a long-standing question that was never answered before. We see in this verse of Bhagavad Gita 7:25 that it says, Krishna says that by his internal potency is covering the materialists, so they cannot understand his form. But to me it seems from what we heard that Yoga Maya affects the devotees and allows them to interact with Krishna in different rasas, whereas Mahamaya covers the materialists, so they forget about Krishna. So why is Krishna saying Yoga Maya and not Mahamaya?
That's exactly the same question I had. Sorry, thank you.
So that's a technical question, because in the verse, in chapter 7, verse 25 of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says Yoga Maya, that I'm covered by my Yoga Maya potency. And we know elsewhere, it's written also in the Bhagavad Gita, that Krishna always appears through his internal potency. He's always in his internal potency. He never touches the material energy. That's why we have Lord Shiva, because he's Vishnu who touches the material energy. He's married to the material energy. So therefore you have Shiva, the transformation of Vishnu. But Krishna himself never touches. So the question comes up then, but he's talking about the living entities being covered by illusion, so surely it must be Mahamaya, not Yogamaya. So the explanation I've heard is that in our Gaudiya Vaishnava Siddhanta, we would separate the two, Yogamaya and Mahamaya, like that. But the Bhagavad Gita, the presentation of the Bhagavad Gita is such that Krishna calls it Yogamaya. For us as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, we would prefer the distinction to be there, but also because we have knowledge of who Yogamaya is as a person, it's not a problem, because there is only one Maya. Yogamaya, Mahamaya is the same person. She just has different faces for who she's dealing with. In exactly the same way, say for take any example, you take a mum, your mum will have a certain face for the people that she deals with at work. Well, when she goes to work, she'll have a certain face. When she deals with her boss, when she deals with those who she's in charge of, she has a certain face for those people. When she goes home and she sees her children, she has another face. When she sees her husband, she has another face. Because we change the way we deal according to the person we're dealing with. Krishna does the same thing. As you surrender unto me, I will reward you accordingly. So as we approach him, he responds. So similarly, because Krishna is always appearing through his internal potency, that internal potency transforms and reciprocates with us according to how we are approaching Krishna. But it's the same potency. Prabhupada uses the example of the electrician who can use the same electricity to make heating or cooling systems. It's the same electricity, but it gives a completely different effect. So we can understand that Mahamaya is giving a heating effect to the living entities, and then Yogamaya is giving a nice cooling effect through her influence, if we approach Krishna in the right way. Does that make sense? Further comment, please, Maharaj.
Thank
Correct.
you very much, Uncle. If you read the verse carefully, it says, "For them I am covered by my internal potency," not you are covered.
Very nice point.
I am covered. So the Yoga Maya makes sure that these unqualified persons who are against Krishna do not understand him. They cannot approach him. They cannot interfere with the Lord. It's almost like it's the opposite way. And it doesn't say you are covered by my external energy or you are covered by my internal potency. It says I am covered.
Very important.
Protect them. Keep them away. You want to keep unwanted persons at a distance. You would say. So Yoga Maya is, protecting that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's another added angle to it.
Yeah. Very nice point. Thank you, Maharaj.
Very nice, Maharaj. Thank you. I was going to say, Prabhupada had a dream. You know the dream, right?
I'd love to hear the dream story.
Well, Prabhupada, his Srila Bhaktisiddhanta came to him in a dream and told him to take sannyas. Not once. And Prabhupada was horrified. He didn't want to take sannyas. That's my excuse. If I have a dream and Prabhupada comes and tells me to take sannyas. But, he woke up from his dream and he was sweating, he was horrified. But he came twice, so, he had to take sannyas. But Prabhupada said that nightmares, we get nightmares, those aren't like the kind of dream you want. But that's like a sinful reaction. That, you know, instead of getting actual bad karma, you might get a bad dream.
Prabhu said the same thing about good dreams. For the body, you're getting freed of your good karma. You only think about bad karma sometimes. But we're very attached to our good karma.
He compared dreams to like flowers in the sky. And he said that when you eat too much, you sleep too much, and when you sleep too much, you dream. He said it's phantasmagoria. But then again, there's another incidence of a dream where Rupa Goswami had a dream. Satyabhama came to him in a dream, Krishna's wife, and told him to write 2 separate dramas about her, which was Vedanta Madhava and Alita Madhava.
A question about dreams. I mean, from the scientific or the analytical point of view, dreams are they just something that occur when you're going to sleep or waking up? Are they something which take place entirely during your sleeping period? You just don't remember them, like you don't remember past births, you only remember the last one we're in. What is the understanding of dreams from that point of view? What do they say?
As far as I remember, you have the part of your sleep where you're going to sleep. Then you have dream sleep, and then you have dreamless sleep.
Well,
and then the
that's hard to
cycle
understand.
repeats.
What about the materialistic point of view?
No, it's the same.
The
as
same,
in,
it's the same.
yeah. So every night you will have a dream sleep state. Everybody will have, and you'll have a deep sleep state where there's no dreaming also.
Everybody has it. Whether
Everybody
you eat
has.
too much or whether you eat too little, you still have the
You will
dream.
always dream. It's the intensity of the dream will increase if you have too much pizza, or if you have ice cream, or chili, or something late at night, then the intensity of the dream will be much greater. Lots of sweets, but you will always dream. But a lot of the time we just don't remember the dream. We're just not even aware that we're having it. But the scientists have put those things on their heads and measured that everybody has these dream-like states every time they sleep. If you go through the full 4-hour cycle.
Very short period, isn't it? I mean, you know, you can have a dream. Literally, sometimes you fall asleep and actually it's just a second or two. You just kind of catnap away. It's like you've had this whole dream, which is like actually a whole pastime. It's just a moment of time has passed, just like Brahma's moment, a whole Brahma's
universe.
Leela, 1 year passed, you know. It's something that it seems that a different time schedule.
That's interesting.
The material was like that. We're just going through a dream for a moment, forgetting so-called what actual reality, the whole world.
Prabhupada told a story about a dream. There was this guy. He made pada, like clay cups, and in his dream, he was making so many cups and he was becoming very wealthy. And he was piling up the cups, and he said, like, when I sell these cups, I'll be so wealthy. And there were so many cups, they were all piled up by his feet. And he was so happy he was going to be so wealthy. Then when he woke up, he kicked all the cups and he broke them. And then he was back to reality. He's a poor pada with no money.
I thought it was something like, if my wife gives me any problems in his dream, I'll kick her.
Maybe it's
So that's what happened. And as he kicked, all the pots flew and smashed everything, he lost everything. The material was like that. You lose everything.
But some people dream while they're awake. You know, we daydream.
And
When you dream,
Everybody's doing that, aren't they?
yeah. You know, when I make all this money, they work in a factory. Oh, I'm gonna, you know, in the future everything's gonna be great. I'm going to college and I'm gonna get a nice car. And it's another dream, you know. It's just dreaming.
It's so true. That's why japa is so important, because it helps us curtail that daydreaming like state. You can see devotees who are struggling in their japa, they just Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. And you can just see them dreaming what they're going to do, what they're going to achieve, the things they're going to get. You can see it all going
I
on.
thought that's what japa was for. This is a bit of a, I'm going to have to think about that's a bit of an eye-opener. That's what it's for, so you can just enjoy the daydream, wandering, whatever you want. Look at his eye, he's into that. Mind's in another world altogether.
Trying to improve. Got a long way to go. Okay, well, we can now have some dreamy prasadam.
That's the reality. We don't dream.
But dreamy as in it's so good, it's better than our wildest dreams.
The dream is what?
The prasadam is better than our wildest dreams. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Dream Like Prasadam ki jai, Jai Nitai Go Premanande.
Even sometimes devotees have bad dreams. Prabhupada said because they take on disciples.
Yes.
Prabhupada himself said that.
It's a good point. Actually, I should have played my Guru Maharaj's song. Bad dream, wake up. Bad dream, wake. Have you seen that? Probably it'll go all against GPC regulations, so I won't do that. But
don't worry about that.
no. But it's a really good song. Bad dream, wake up.
Is that about like sinful reactions of disciples?
No, but it's about how this world is like a bad dream. It's a nightmare. Actually, this world is a nightmare. It's just full of suffering at every moment.
That's the problem with you Hare Krishnas. You fail, you kind of say all these things. It's actually a great place. You have a fantastic song. We Hare Krishnas also becoming pessimistic.
It's okay, well, let's get back into Mahamaya again and forget about how horrible it is. It's great, it's so nice.
I remember when I was in Sankirtan a few years ago in Gold Coast, the Gold Coast.
Where's the Gold Coast?
Australia. The Gold Coast. Surfers paradise. And you go up to these guys,
isn't that
handsome young guys, sun-tanned, a big chest, a beautiful girl in his right arm, a bottle of beer. So this weird material wood is such a place of suffering.
Yeah, it's terrible.
They look at you like, something wrong with you. Come on, man, the surf's up, the sun's shining, what's wrong with you guys? Come and enjoy with me. They say like that,
It's quite convincing as well.
Here, take a bottle of beer, here's some money, go and enjoy yourself.
It's true.
Hare Krishna.
That's the material world. It looks good.
Yeah.
No substance.
You know that story of Charlie Chaplin? I can't remember who it was. When I was a kid, we saw this movie, black and white movie. And the guy was, maybe it was Charlie Chaplin, one of those wonderful kind of humorous guys. And he was getting married, and he was like enamored by his pretty looking wife. They went, they wanted to buy a house. He went to the estate agent. The estate agent was all over him. He had a lot of money in his bag. He said, yes. They went to see the house. The estate agent had a nice big car. They went there, and there's the house in front of it. It looked really nice, a gorgeous house. It looked really nice from the outside, And here he is with his girl, new married wife, and she's like this, very happy with her husband, straight away, a beautiful house, He picks her up. In the old days, they used to pick the wife up and carry her over the threshold. So then all the money was given to the estate agent. They shook hands. The estate agent went away. They were all waving at each other. Picked up his wife, went to the door. Everything was wonderful. He's looking at his wife. They're kissing each other. He opens the door, takes his wife inside. Nothing there. It was just a big cardboard effigy of a house. Nothing inside. He dropped his wife on the floor. Boom. Stunned. His wife gets up, smashes him on the face and walks away. Material world. nothing
That's
in
the
that.
material
He
world.
gets smashed in the face. It looks nice.
Looks great.
He gets smashed. That was in a movie, like maybe Charlie Chaplin, one of those guys did.
Yeah.
It's almost like they knew what the reality was. you know.
Yeah. There's that very nice nursery rhyme. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 merrily. Life is but a dream.
Wow, there you go. You made that up?
You never heard that before?
No.
As a
It's
nursery
one of the
rhyme, we
old
used
songs
to,
back in the old days.
Maybe
used to
I
sing
might
that
have.
back.
Yeah.
It's an old nursery rhyme.
Yeah.
It's an old nursery rhyme.
Yeah.
You heard it before?
Yeah, I've heard it.
Never heard of it.
Yeah.
We never had, I didn't have many nursery rhymes in my kids.
Yeah. Yes.
When we Tommy Tucker.
Naivety.
Open
Yeah. Whereas,
Enjoy it while you can, that's the whole idea, that's the whole philosophy, isn't it?
yeah.
There's only one life, you may as well make the most of it while you can.
Yeah. Whereas you come to New Mayapur, it's, you see the outside of the building is looking very nice. A little bit, some places looking a bit crusty, but you come inside, and that's where the real nectar is.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something else.
And it's better than you could possibly imagine.
Back over to the guest house.
Not only is it better than you could possibly have imagined, but it gets better every day, every moment that you're here. Because the spiritual
tell
process is
Lochan
there.
You need someone to say something nice to him once in a while.
Okay, I'll tell him that. The spiritual potencies.
Hare Krishna.
Different world. Actual substance.
The deities is a great example because I remember first seeing the deities in the big eyes and I was so scared. Especially coming from a background of no deities, seeing the big eyes of Krishna was like, this is demoniac. It's just so scary. And so it took a while, but then once you see the spiritual vision, you just start to appreciate the deities a lot more. And so it's exactly like that from the material point of view, where it's like just marble and stone. And it looks seemingly scary, but then once you understand the depth of it, it becomes a lot more beautiful. And then from there stems the attachment to spiritual things.
Yeah.
The Guru clears
Eyes
it.
are opened.
Yeah.
When your eyes are closed, what can you see?
Yeah. I remember I saw Srila Prabhupada in his writing and I was thinking like, who's this person who's meditating so still for like hours? And then I was so scared when I first saw him at the temple. Then I got closer to him. And I understood after a while.
Hare Krishna. What time are you leaving tomorrow? What time are the Ramachars or who are leaving tomorrow?
It's up to Mateo.
To Mateo.
He knows. He's the knower.
He's a knower, he knows everything.
Depends what time they want to get back, I suppose.
Depending on the inspiration. If they want to stay back or not.
Evolved. Have you recovered? Still trying to recover. It was his birthday yesterday.
Oh, happy birthday.
Fed him up. He had cake at lunch. He had cake in the night also.
Like in the mood of Krishna, to feeding Mongol sweets. Cakes.
Yeah.